Welcome to this tutorial for Simply Accounting. Today we're going to learn how to create a new customer. First of all, in your main window you'll want to make sure that you're showing customers and sales, and in the upper left hand corner you'll see a button called Customers. I'll show you two ways to open a new customer. The first is to actually click the icon, and the first window that you'll see is a list of all of your existing customers. And if you look to the upper left hand corner, third button over, it says Create, which would be Create a New Customer. And this is the window that you see. We'll actually fill this in a minute, but I'll show you a second way that you can create a new customer. If we close out of this and go back to the icon for Customers, under the word Customers you'll see a drop down menu, a very small one, and here you can also add a new customer. So you see a variety of fields here that are important to fill in for the customer profile. It starts with the name, obviously, and we'll call this first customer A1 Hardware. The contact for A1 Hardware will be John Doe, and the address for A1 Hardware will be 123 Main Street in Toronto, Ontario, with a postal code of A1A 2B2, and of course that's in Canada. The phone number for A1 Hardware will be 123-456-7890, and their fax number will be area code 123-456-0980. The email for John will be john@a1hardware.com, and their company address will be www.a1hardware.com. We'll assign a specific department for John. He'll belong in construction and engineering, and we also have the ability to assign a salesperson for this customer, and we'll assign William Elliott. Now these are important features to fill in for the customer profile, because when you create an estimate or a contract or an invoice for this customer, all of this key information will be imported so that you don't have to retype it again. Now the next important tab will be Ship to Address, which often can be different from the corporate head office or mailing address. The first option that comes up is the mailing address that we already filled in on our main window. The second option is the Ship to Address. So in this case we'll define this as the default ship to address, and we'll fill in a separate location. Our contact this time will be Jane Doe. The street will be 456 South Street, and in Ottawa. Postal code will be B4B 5C5. Different phone number, and fax number. And of course Jane's email address will be jane@a1hardware.com. So now we have a separate address filled in for shipping, and now we can move to the Options tab. Now here, if A1 Hardware traditionally buys the same amount of merchandise that would apply to the same revenue account every time, we can predefine that here. And in this case, why don't we pick Sales Hardware? You can also establish a price list for this company. That of course assumes that you have predefined price lists for your own company profile. And in this case, we'll assign the regular price list to A1 Hardware. The items usually will ship from, we can determine which plant location here. Again, that depends on your having predetermined that in your profile. We can select a currency that we want to use for this customer. We'll leave this at Canadian. And as well English or French if that's if they have a preference for language communication. Now here we can also establish a standard discount for this company that may have been pre-negotiated because they are an important or high volume customer. So let's assume that A1 Hardware qualifies for a 5% standard discount. We can also apply early payment terms here. The fields that have already been filled in are our standard terms, and these can be changed specifically for this customer if so desired. We can now move to the Taxes tab, where you can indicate which taxes this customer might be exempt from by indicating yes versus no. And you can also choose the tax code that includes the taxes that you would normally charge this customer. We can then move to the Statistics tab. These numbers will not start to appear or to accumulate until the customer actually generates sales. Most importantly, in this field you can establish a credit limit for this customer. We'll set A1 Hardware at $25,000. We can then proceed to the Memo tab. If you'd like to time activate a memo, this is the place to do it. We'll indicate that we want to follow up with this customer at the end of the month. And we'll set the date for the 31st of July. And then by checking this box, display this memo in the Daily Business Manager, this is now time activated, so it will appear on our to-do list on July 31st. We can now move to the Import Export tab. This tab only applies if our customer also uses Simply Accounting and they can import invoices and estimates that we would issue. And last but not least, there's the additional info. Here you can add additional information that will appear in a pop-up window if that's what you would like it to do every time you prepare an estimate, contract, or invoice for this customer. So we've now filled in all the pertinent information for this customer profile. We can save and close it. And now if we go in and we open a new estimate and we type in A1 Hardware, the first few letters, you'll see that they are now available for use. And by selecting that name, all the relevant information has been imported automatically. The mailing address, the different ship-to address, the salesperson that A1 Hardware has been assigned to, the ship from origin, and the early payment terms at the bottom. Now if we select an item number, and we enter a quantity, you can see that the discount that has been negotiated with this customer has also automatically been applied. And we can now record this estimate. And that concludes our tutorial on creating a new customer. This tutorial has been brought to you by Success College.